So here recently, I decided to get a new monitor. For the past many years, or ever since I've been a PC gamer, I've always been stuck with 60 Hz, and I never really knew the benefit of having a higher refresh rate monitor. It always seemed like it was something that was a little extra, but not worth the money to sink into it, since 60 Hz has always been fine for me. It's never really given me a problem. But I guess here recently, I decided to take the dive and get a higher refresh rate monitor. And with that, I decided to get a Asus PG248Q. The only problem with this monitor is it happened to be refurbished, so I was taking quite big of a risk on it. So, but at the same time, it also came in quite a bit under the original price, since I ended up picking up this for $280 on sale compared to its original price of around $400 or so. But yeah, I'll leave it in the description if you want to check it out. I believe it's not on sale anymore. But the important thing about this monitor is that it had the high refresh rate that I was looking for at 144, which actually it goes up to 180 if you overclock it. But anyways, I got the monitor a few days later, open it up, check to see if there's any scuffs or marks or anything out of the norm, as you would with any other refurbished product. But everything seemed to be in place. Packaging was pretty good, and I mean, I probably could have been fooled into thinking it was a brand new monitor. So after plugging it in with DisplayPort, since you need DisplayPort for the higher refresh rate and all that jazz, just from Windows alone, it was a whole different experience. Just moving the windows around was so much smoother. And I had my 60 Hz monitor, my old one, right next to it as a secondary monitor now, so I could see the difference right next to me. And it was just night and day. Like, everything is so much smoother. There's more noticeable motion lag on the 60 Hz. So if anything, it's hard to go back now. And for the price I paid, I'd say I got my money's worth. But of course, I didn't buy this monitor just to move windows around on my desktop. I bought it to play games with. So tried out a few games, turned up the refresh rate, and I was quite amazed actually, because most games I played with VSync on with my old monitors, so I didn't really realize how high of a frame rate I got in some games such as Paragon and even Battlefield and other games of the sort. So yeah, it worked out perfectly well. You could notice how much smoother it was in game. But besides the refresh rate, it was also the G-Sync that this monitor has that was attributing to the smoothness of the game. At first, I was kind of skeptical of getting G-Sync, since I could have gone cheaper and just gotten a monitor with a high refresh rate that would have had like FreeSync or something. But I have an NVIDIA graphics card, specifically a 980 Ti, so I just wanted to see what G-Sync was all about, since it was also one of the things like the refresh rate that you had to see it to know what kind of difference it makes. So I saw this monitor and it had all the specs that I was looking for, and decided to see what it was all about. And the G-Sync really does make a difference. I mean, along with the high refresh rate that I'm getting, instead of getting capped at the 60 that it was on my other monitor, I can now go up to, my new VSync is pretty much whatever my graphics card can get up to, which, and yeah, some of these games, like I was saying, I was getting up there into 130, 140 frames per second, and it's just smooth, no tearing. Now I know some people don't have a lot of problems with tearing, but for me, in games like GTA and other games, like, it would just tear like crazy, and VSync was one of those things like that you would absolutely need, or frame limiting, or all that kind of stuff. So no, G-Sync has definitely been worth it for me in the end, even though it does cost quite a bit extra. I could probably do without it, but it's just a nice extra to have if you have the NVIDIA card. And of course, if you have the AMD card, you can always go with the FreeSync option. But besides that, I don't know if I'd say it's a downside of this monitor, but of course it's 1080p and it has a TN panel, which the colors are a lot less accurate than IPS. But in the end, to me, it's not that big of a deal. Just because it's 1080p, my video card is able to pump out those really high frame rates, and I'm able to actually get most of my refresh rate out of it And if it was anything higher, like 1440p or 4K, which I did think about quite a bit, getting one of those kind of monitors, in the end, it would have been harder for my card to push out those frames, even though it would have looked nicer. So something had to give. So I just decided to go with 1080p, since at the end of the day, you can always turn up anti-aliasing and use those kind of tricks and such to make it look nicer and sharper. And yeah, it's a TN panel. I'm used to using IPS panels, but having the shorter response time for the TN panel is, much better overall. And I mean, when you're looking at it straight on, it's not too bad. It can be a little whitewashed at times, but you adjust the colors a little bit with the display settings and such, and it's not too bad, really. In conclusion, though, I mean, I gotta say I'm pretty sold on it. I don't think I can go back to a normal 60 hertz monitor now, and the only way from here is up. So maybe in the future I can maybe go back to IPS and stick with the high refresh rate and G-Sync and all that such later on, whenever those kind of monitors get cheaper, because right now they cost an arm and a leg. But if you get the opportunity to pick up a monitor such as these, then I would just say go for it, because that high refresh rate, it's like making the jump from 30 to 60. Not as drastic, but it's somewhere in that ballpark. I definitely wasn't expecting it. Kind of blew my mind a little bit. And like I said earlier, I can't go back now. So yeah, if you can, try. I know they sell like 144 hertz ones for like 200, even though they have FreeSync. If you have AMD with that, that's great. Even if you have NVIDIA, I mean, you can go without G-Sync if you don't have a lot of tearing, you don't really need the G-Sync. I mean, it's more beneficial at lower frame rates, but yeah, it's always an extra. But anyways, I'm done here, so hope you guys have a good one. Peace.